Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back on the 12 Days of Christmas with my review of We're All Going to the World's Fair.
It's
The Horror Man
season and Santa Claus is coming.
We're All Going to the World's Fair is a 2021 horror film with a brief but significant Christmas into New Year's sequence. This is a movie about which I've been curious for a long time. Well, at least the last few years since it was first released. I was really intrigued by the synopsis, but then at one point had forgotten all about this film. Then, while compiling my list for the 12 Days of Christmas this year, I came across it again. It was one of the first definites for this year's list. And I do film these reviews out of order, so it was actually one of the first films I watched for the 12 Days of Christmas. And now, here we are on day 11, almost the very last review of these 12 days. It's the penultimate review this year, and possibly one of my favorite movies I watched. But we'll know that for sure when I rank all 12 of them on Christmas Eve. We're All Going to the World's Fair is about a teen girl named Casey who immerses herself in an online role-playing game. It's called the World's Fair Challenge, and after initiating herself into it, she becomes part of the game. Casey lives alone with her father, but doesn't seem to have much of a relationship with him. Her room is isolated in the attic, and Casey herself seems isolated from society. She spends much of her time watching videos online from other people involved in the World's Fair Challenge. It's a horror game, and Casey is obsessed with horror, hence her participation in the challenge. Apparently, after the initiation process, those playing the World's Fair game begin undergoing certain changes. The experience is different for everyone, and the individual results are disturbing. Casey starts to notice her own changes. One night, she receives a personal video from a mysterious stranger. Whoever it is claims to also be a player in the World's Fair. He warns Casey that she's in trouble. But is this new online acquaintance actually trying to help Casey or harm her? That's pretty much all I can say about this movie. We're All Going to the World's Fair is set and filmed on location in New York. It's upstate New York, though, not the city. Suburbia. I love the opening shots of random stores and restaurants in the area. We even get an abandoned Toys R Us. These opening visuals establish that feeling of isolation. It's a movie about despair and the horrors that potentially come with it. We're All Going to the World's Fair begins in late fall and transitions into winter. There's snow on the ground, and it makes you feel cold. Casey's room is pretty cool, and much of the film takes place in there. There is an atmospheric scene in a cemetery, but it's that Christmas and New Year's Eve sequence that is probably most atmospheric. The contrast of the Christmas lights and Christmas music to what's actually occurring. The scene of Casey walking through the town on Christmas Eve, decorated with all the Christmas lights, is my favorite of all. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say there are some genuinely creepy visuals in regards to the World's Fair. I love when we get to see the 1994 version of the game. Anna Cobb was fantastic as Casey. This was her feature film debut. Most of all, though, I'm in love with the concept of the airy consequences in playing the game. This movie not only hits on a horror level, but on a human emotional level. Because of that, we're all going to the World's Fair won't be for everyone, but it was certainly for me. I loved it. Have you seen it? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. Well, 11 days down, one more to go. What will I review for the final day of the 12 Days of Christmas? Check back tomorrow to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.